If a friend asked you, what is satisfactory? How would you explain it? For me, it kind of hits different compared to most factory simulator style games, but I'd say it's the child of Factorio in Minecraft. While Satisfactory borrows the 2D factory experience from Factorio, it also leans into the 3D open world sandbox feel of Minecraft. Satisfactory is a stunning open world factory game, and I can't wait to dive in and show you how to survive your first couple days. My name is Steve 5, welcome to Surviving Satisfactory. This gameplay is recorded on the Update 5 experimental version of Satisfactory. In Satisfactory, you work for a company called the Fix-It Corporation. The Fix-It Corporation employs pioneers, which is what your job is actually called. Your task? Survive on a strange alien planet and send resources back to the Fix-It Corporation. It's up to you as the pioneer to decide how you're going to tackle this task. When you create a world for the first time, you're going to be presented with this screen. Feel free to read the descriptions for each of these locations, but if you're playing for the first time, I would suggest one of the first two options. The interesting thing about Satisfactory is that it's all on the same world. Some games like Minecraft have seed generators, where every world is different and unique, but in Satisfactory, it's all one giant world. All of these 4 locations are found on the same planet. Bear in mind, this planet is gargantuanly large, but you can actually see where everything is on the online interactive map. I'll make sure to include a link for this map in the description, but as I said, it's basically the same world for millions of players, so all the resources and coordinates are mapped out online. I'm going to be playing on the easiest location, or the first option you could pick. If you're a veteran, you know that this location actually is very easy to start in, but it's kind of hard to carry into the late game. Feel free to follow along if you'd like. As I said, the world is the same for everyone. If this is your first time playing ever, I would strongly suggest unchecking this box down here. It's going to play the intro cinematic and teach you the controls and basics of the game. This skips the intro and the whole tutorial phase, and you spawn in with a bunch of resources. I would say the tutorial is a little over an hour, about an hour and 45 minutes worth of content, so it's worth it to do if you're just starting out and it's your first world ever. For the sake of the video, I will be doing the tutorial just to show you basically how to start from scratch. So let's load in and see what a day in the life of a Fix-It pioneer looks like. When you first land, you're going to be presented with the controls and the basics. I, a master Satisfactory player, haven't played in a while, so I did have to brush up on some of the controls. Regardless, we're out on our own adventure here, looking for a suitable place of land to claim as our own. Strats with Steve, tip number 1, when you start out, you're going to want to grab every bush and leaf pile you can. You use these organic materials for the earliest form of power, biomass burners. So collecting a healthy supply of vegetation will be a huge help for fuel later. Quickly, allow me to interrupt myself with some on-the-scene commentary. So, something that's kind of interesting, not every landing is exactly the same. As you can see, this arch is a pretty good landmark for this, but this arch is a pretty good landmark for this particular landing location. However, you can land here, you can land on the other side of it. It's pretty much like maybe a kilometer radius around this thing, I would guess. So it can be slightly different, but it's just useful to keep that in mind. The next thing you're going to want to look for is good resource nodes. The first type of node you can look for is iron. Again, if you press the button to skip the tutorial, you can search for more than just iron. You can search for iron, copper, and limestone. However, the most important thing about setting up a base is being close to decent resource nodes. In Satisfactory, there's 3 types of resource node rarities: impure, normal, and pure. It's important to look at the base of the node. There's always going to be a spike out of the node that's going to be pure, but once you break it after a couple of hits and look down, that will be the rarity of the node. The better the quality of the node, the better the output of ore. For example, in this case, iron nodes, an impure node will allow you to harvest 30 iron per minute at maximum. Normal nodes will allow the harvest of 60 iron per minute. And pure nodes will allow for the harvest of a whopping 120 ore per minute. As you can see, finding good ore nodes are in your best interest. So ore nodes operate a little different in Satisfactory than some of the other open world games you may play. If we compare it to Minecraft, when you mine an iron ore, it disappears and goes into your inventory. In Satisfactory, these nodes are always in the same spot and they have an infinite supply and they're never going to run out of resources. However, as I said, finding good nodes is important because if you find an impure node, it's going to be 4 times less efficient than a pure node. After you've located some iron, the first structure you can make is the hub. So I'm about to build the hub, which is probably the most important early game structure in the whole game. And to do it, all you have to do is press Q, and then you can click the hub. You want to make sure it's faced this direction, where this kind of like back depot area is kind of facing toward where your mining things are going to be. That's because there's going to be generators basically put on the back of them, so you want to make sure it's kind of positioned like so. During the tutorial, the hub is very bare bones. It basically starts out as a structure foundation for something better. However, it's going to ask you to complete multiple challenges, and these are usually just submitting a certain amount of specific resources. You might be saying, wait, this says I need iron rods. How am I supposed to get that from the iron ore I just gathered? At the start of the game, you're going to have to do a lot of manual crafting. After constructing the first stage of the hub, you get access to the craft bench, which is right across from the hub console. You can smelt ores, craft materials, and do all kinds of stuff with the craft bench. I'm going to interrupt myself again with some on-the-scene commentary with a hotkey that will change your life. Okay, so as you can see, I'm on stage 0 for the hub terminal. It requires 10 iron bars. However, it's a good idea to just pretty much do all your iron at once, and you can do this manually. Of course, we will unlock furnaces a little bit later. You can press this craft button and it will do it. But if you want to get up to use the bathroom or grab a drink, press Shift and spacebar. And you can take your hands off the keyboard, you can leave, this will go automatically. It will still be the same speed, but you just don't have to touch the keyboard. You can Alt-Tab, do whatever you want. It doesn't actually say this anywhere, at least in the tutorial so far, so it's just a very, very good quality of life thing. Shift spacebar, it'll save you time, it'll save you brain cells. It's the thing to do. As I'm sure you can see, manually smelting iron into ingots and then turning them into iron plates or iron rods can be very time-consuming. We're in the early stages of Satisfactory, so there's very little automation. However, there is another small way you can automate gathering resources. You have to craft a workstation, which as you can see requires a couple of plates and rods. In that workstation, you can craft a portable miner. These little guys have a very small inventory, but you can pick them up and chuck them down on a node and they'll start digging up ore very slowly. So now that you have the basics down, the next 40 minutes is going to be a lot of running to get ore, crafting it up, and throwing it in the hub for the next technological upgrade. The next big milestone you're going to hit is the Hub Upgrade 5. This gives you access to the Miner Mark 1, which is the first step to any great factory. You can only put one of these miners down per node, but you can hook up conveyor belts to them and feed them right into smelters. Of course, these machines are going to require power, so make sure to hook them up to your biomass burner that's attached to the hub. Congratulations, you're on your first step to basic automation. Once you finish the tutorial missions for the hub, there's a few things you should do right away. The first thing you should do is turn all the leaves you have into biomass. This is much more efficient in the biomass burners and can power machines for a lot longer than just regular leaves, wood, and flowers can. The second thing is I would strongly suggest getting the logistics upgrade for the hub as soon as you possibly can. Remember how I said if you set up a system on a normal or pure node, you're going to get a lot of backlog? The splitters from the logistics upgrade let you split conveyor streams into 2 or 3 paths. In this example, I only have a normal iron node, so I can set up 2 smelters from one Miner Mark 1. But if you have a pure node, you might want to use the middle path and divide up into 3 smelters. This is, of course, going to use way more power, but it triples or doubles your ore output. If you've completed the tutorial, you'll also have unlocked the constructors, which are placed after the smelters and can turn ingots into a specific resource. No more crafting by hand. These constructors are designated to craft a certain recipe for you in exchange for power, which of course, you're going to have to hook up to those biomass burners. You can also add a storage container at the end of the system to store all the things you produce, and congratulations, you have your very first automated crafting line. This system you're looking at is on a normal node, which means the miner can feed 2 lines of smelters without any issue. There are more complexities that get added along the way, like overclocking machines, improving the miner to Mark II, but we'll save that for future videos. So if you're following along with me, or perhaps you're just looking for guidance in your world, here's a checklist of things you should have before the next episode. You should have an automated iron system which produces iron plates and iron rods. Both of these are essential ingredients for more complicated recipes down the road, and you're going to need a lot of these materials. Number 2, you should have an automated copper system which produces copper wire. You can easily turn the wires into cables in a craft bench, but we'll worry about automating cable production later. Right now the wire is more important. And number 3, the last thing, cheesy I know, is you should have fun. The tutorial takes about an hour and 30 minutes for a pretty experienced player like myself, and you may find early manual crafting tedious, but I promise there's little to zero of that in the later game. If you bought the game on Steam, the tutorial pretty much runs just about 2 hours, which means you can refund it if you didn't enjoy your time. At the time of this recording, the game is on sale for $20, which in my opinion is a steal for a game of this high quality. Coffee Stain Studios is responsible for creating Goat Simulator and Valheim, to name 2 of their biggest projects, so you can pretty much guarantee yourself that the quality is always going to be there coming from this studio. I doubt too many people are going to watch this video because my channel is so small and it's primarily based around Minecraft content, but if you enjoyed it, it would mean a lot if you dropped a comment down below telling me what you thought of the video. These videos take a long time to edit, and it's University Finals time for me right now, so if you would consider leaving a like on the video, I will love you forever. I really enjoy Satisfactory, and I hope there's even a handful of you out there that would enjoy a second episode. Make sure to let me know in the comments, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.
Comply.
What the hell was that? There's a space rock around here. What the...
Relaying message. Hello, this is Paternal Figure. I have taken ill and need your help to find a cure. Doctors say that the only remedy is alien artifacts.
I'm sure it was nothing.